Welcome to the second round of the 2023 BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross Championship here at Pembrey in the south of Wales. We now join our commentator Dave Goddard for our first final.
Well, the heats are completed, and we can start to think about the finals here at the crux of the matter here at Pembrey in the second round of the BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross Championship. And we have 7 finals ahead of us, each of 5 laps duration. The grids have been settled as determined by the heat finishes for the various competitors. We're still a little way away from those finals. We understand they'll be starting at 3:15, but we've had some very close racing during the course of the morning and the early afternoon, and we anticipate some really close fighting in the finals to come as well. The first final will be for the production cars, and we'll have the juniors. We've got the Clubmans and Clubman 4x4s and modified 4x4s with a combined final, after which is the super modified, the BMW Mini final, the classic final, and the FIA cross car final. I did hear some suggestion though that the Clubman 4x4 and modified 4x4 final may be put to the back of the timetable, so we could have a slight change there. So today is round 2 of the BTRDA Clubmans Championship. Round 1 was at Blighton, and tomorrow we're back here at Pembrey for round 3. But the difference is that whereas we're using the circuit in the clockwise direction today, then tomorrow it will be anti-clockwise. So it does present a slightly different challenge to the drivers tomorrow, rather than just a repeat of today's action. We're going to have some interviews, I think, in just a moment before we get the race action underway. We look at the Formula 1 bar here at the Pembrey circuit, which will be well frequented this evening, I'm sure, by the competitors.
I'm here with Thomas Ramanauskas, who's racing his Mitsubishi Evo today. How's today been for you so far?
So far, the start was not very good. We have the technical problems with the car on the first heat. Just done 2 laps and practice and 2 laps of heat 1. And then need to catch up, you know. So second one, I come, I don't know, I think so third with the supercars in my class first, and heat 3 come second with the supercars, and first in my class.
What's it like being on the grid with the supercars at the same time?
It's a bit funny, you know. Them cars got double horsepower, so Just very big mistakes if they make it, then you can overtake. Otherwise, if you got like 4 laps, we're just running maybe half lap further.
So what are your hopes for the rest of the day?
I always hope so, you know, not going to be rain, but on the final, it's raining now, as you can see. So the final, you need to be, you know, drive gently. I don't know.
Drive gently.
Yeah,
I can't believe that.
You need to drive like on ice, you know, because it's going to be tricky. It's going to be very slippery, I think, you know.
Certainly, the track looks very greasy on some of the corners.
Not really. There is, you know, from the loose surface to the tarmac, it is very sad bits here, loose bits.
Yeah. Well, wish you all the very best for this afternoon, Thomas, and
very much.
maybe speak to you again later.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
So, as we look at the race control here at Pembrey, that's the race control in fact used for the circuit racing as opposed to the rallycross. And the area we can see there, the dummy grid where the cars will be formed up before moving on to the actual race grid. The marshals there all awaiting the start of these finals. And as ever, we have to say big thank you to all the marshals who work so hard to help us ensure that we can run motorsport safely. The production class, as I say, will be the first grid. And I think we have another interview coming up, and then perhaps I can give you the grid for the production class final.
Walking around the paddock, I've found Will Ovenden, who's one of the main runners in the junior championship. Will, how's the racing been for you so far today?
Good, yeah. The first 2 heats went really well, and I managed to get a second and a first, which was ideal. And then the rain started falling in heat 3, which doesn't suit me quite as well. But yeah, got on with it, come fourth in the end. So yeah, it's a good result.
So do you know where you are on the grid?
I'm predicting I'll be second for the final, which is good. Yeah, it's quite a nice place to start from the front row. It's where you want to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely have a chance to win.
And the main arch rivals for today would be who?
Tyler McAlpin, been quick all day, so I'll have to put up a good fight to beat him. But I'd be happy if I could.
Yeah. And the car behaving itself all right?
Yeah, everything's great. We've set it up perfectly in the wet actually, so yeah, I'm confident. And
No pressure on you then?
no, well, want to win, but we'll try our best. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how you get on later on this afternoon. All the very best.
Great, thank you very much.
So Will Ovenden there talking, and as I say, the first final will be the production A final, and on pole position for that one it will be 218 Alex Fletcher in the Honda Civic Type R. Alongside Alex will be 626 Martin Peters in the Citroen Saxo VTS, and then completing the front row it's 26 Stuart Woolen in the Peugeot 106 GTI. On the second row we will have Mark Henry, car number 100 in the Citroen C2 VTS, and the similar car 284 of James Ash, and then on the back row will be 777 Kestutis Putkus in the Suzuki Swift. So that's the grid that will be lining up in just a few minutes time now for our first final of the day. Over 5 laps. All the heats up to now have been over 4 laps, but we now move to 5 laps for the finals, and that first heat for the production MOT group production class will be coming up very shortly indeed. Up after the production A final, we will have the junior final, then the Clubmans and modified 4x4s, super modified, one of the more competitive classes, the BMW Mini A final, then the classics, which are always very popular. Plenty of escorts in action there, and then we'll round things off with the FIA Cross Car A final. But at the risk of repeating myself, I did hear, although it's not confirmed yet, that the 4x4s may in fact run right at the end of the day's racing. So the drivers and their teams will all be busy at the moment, refettling their cars. We've got one car in particular that is scheduled to be in pole position in the 4x4s, and that's a local man, Roger Thomas, in his Fiesta 4x4, who's had 2 heat wins, but then had some sort of mechanical failure in his third heat. So he will be hard at work at the moment. He and his team, I'm sure, trying to get that car ready to take up his pole position in that class, which I'm sure he'll be very keen to claim a win here at his home circuit. He's not with us tomorrow, so has to make the most of it today. But hopefully he can get that car fixed and ready to go. And one or two competitors did have problems in the heats, and another one, David Ewan, car number 17 in the Ford Fiesta Mark III Evo. He had to have a suspended toe off the circuit in his final heat, so again we hope he can get the car sorted. We'll have as many cars as possible out on the grids for these finals, which are coming up in around about 10 minutes time.
I'm here now with Evie McGuinness, who's racing in the BMW Mini Championship. Abby, it's been a very successful day for you so far.
Yeah, it has so far. We started on pole for the first race and managed to hold the lead until the end, so finished in P1. In the second race we started at the back of the grid and I managed to get a good start into 4th and stayed there for the rest of the race. And then in Heat 3 just now I started P3, I think. And got a good start, came through to the lead for the first corner and just sort of stayed there. But the track's changing so much, so quickly.
So dry early on and then greasy later.
Yeah, it was lovely this morning, and then it's not quite raining enough. It needs to rain properly for it to be grippy. So now it's just kind of greasy and like the back end's just slipping out. It's fun, but it's not the quickest way around the track in any way. So yeah.
Yeah, it was dramatic to watch as well. And of course, Pembrey, where we are now, has been the scene of a very special moment for you last summer.
Yeah, last summer was my first win in the Mini here on the Saturday as well. And we're on pole for the final now as well. So hopefully, all being well, we can get the same result and try again tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. No, looking forward to seeing how you get on. And the Mini's behaving itself.
So far, yeah. Not going to jinx it, but just doing everything I want it to. So we'll leave it how it is and see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, all the very best for this afternoon's final, and we'll maybe speak with you later.
Thank you. And hopefully speak to you after the final. We'll see what happens. Give it everything.
Well, thanks for your time, Abby.
Thank you.
So the track looking in good fettle for the finals to come. We've had mixed weather here at Pembrey today. It was quite pleasant this morning, then the rain came in and we were kind of anticipating it might not be a very nice afternoon at all. It's not raining too much at the moment. It's not exactly bright. We've got grey skies above us, but at least the track isn't getting soaking. So hopefully the conditions will be good for the finals to come. As I say, this is the second round of the BTRDA Championship. They're back here tomorrow. Then I think return, I believe, to Blyton in Lincolnshire for their 4th round, then down to the famous Liddon Hill Rallycross circuit in Kent. Then they come back to us for 2 more rounds in early September here at Pembrey, and then they round things off. Their final round in October is up at Knockhill in Scotland. So plenty of action still ahead of the competitors in this championship. But all they'll be thinking about at the moment is the finals, which will be coming up in the next 5 minutes or so. Just looking towards the grid area. No cars out on grid yet, but I expect to see them very, very shortly indeed. So time to hear from another one of the competitors.
We'll have a chance to see it later. Here with Jamie McBain, historic category racer in his Peugeot 205. Jamie, it's been quite an interesting few weeks for you after the last round and getting the car sorted. Tell us what happened.
We've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. So yeah, round 1, heat 1, we ended up rolling the car. Unfortunately, the damage was just far too much. So we never finished Blyton. Got the car repaired. Went out for Liddon for the 5 Nations. A few more teething problems from the roll, and then we come here today, and so far so good. We're having a good run.
Yeah, and Ryan Stutchbury has done some miraculous work getting the car fixed in very short time.
Yeah, all the guys have, to be honest. Yeah, so I keep my car down in Surrey with the workshop with the rest of them, and literally from Blyton straight back to the workshop. Roof was cut off, engine was out. That was back at the engine builders 2 days later, and then by the end of the week it was in paint, done, finished.
Yeah. And so for today we've had a change of conditions, as it's been dry to begin with and now a little bit soggier. What's your preference?
I'd have preferred conditions this morning, to be honest. Car's gone really well. We've done some really quick times this morning throughout the day. Unfortunately, we lose out to the rear-wheel drive cars. Purely because we're front-wheel drive and we can never get it off the line. And with the power we're running, we never seem to get it off the line. So,
but once you're underway and you're on the loose, do you think you've got a slight advantage with front-wheel drive?
Yeah, we managed to reel them in, to be honest. The only problem we've got now is, obviously with it being wet and damp now, it's a bit of a train track. So once you're behind someone, there's very limited places to overtake. So unless you're daring, which we'll try and pull something off in the final.
Do you know where you are for the grid for the final?
Yeah, so we qualified 2nd for the grid. John Cross is on pole, and then I've got Lee Wood to the side of me. It should be quite interesting.
You're in very good company.
Very, very good company, yeah. So two very good drivers. Obviously Lee's proven his worth now. That Mark II, he's got that dialed in, and he definitely knows how to pedal that round. Yeah. I know John's had a few issues this morning. I think by the looks of it, he's got it resolved. And then we've got Alan Tapscott behind me in the other Mark II Escort. So another seasoned driver that can pedal a car. Yeah. So fingers crossed, we can pull something off.
Let's see if the young lad can pull it off in the historic class.
We're going to try.
I wish you all the very best, and maybe see you later on.
Yep. Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Jamie.
Well, thanks for another interesting interview there, and we're getting ever closer, as I keep saying, to the race action. We will see something out on track very shortly indeed, I'm sure, and it will be the production cars. In fact, I thought for a moment I saw a car, there's a little bit of movement up there in the paddock area, so hopefully the dummy grid's about to start forming up. But while we wait for those cars to come out onto the dummy grid, we have time, I think, just to squeeze in one more interview.
I'm just going to grab a few moments with John Cross, who's in the historic class driving his Lancia Stratos. John, it's been a less than straightforward day for you today so far. How are things standing at the moment?
I think we'll be on the front row for the final, but probably on the outside. I've had 2 wins and a last, so that should be enough. But we've still got some minor problems with the car, but it's getting there.
Now, are you sure it's the car and not the nut behind the wheel?
No, there's nothing wrong with the nut behind the wheel. Well, nothing that knocking off 30 years wouldn't put right anyway. Put it that way.
What sort of issues have you had today?
Just with a strange little misfire that we thought we had cured when we found a pipe off, but when we put it back on it got worse, so we've left it off again now.
So long as that's not the fuel pipe.
No, it's not that. No, it's using too much fuel still. But it'll be all right. Fingers crossed. If it's wet, it won't matter. A little bit of power missing won't matter. It'll be like traction control, won't it?
So what's your preference, dry conditions or wet?
I prefer the dry, but this is only the 3rd race I've driven this car in the wet, which is unbelievable, racing in England for 4 years, isn't it? But the previous 2, or the previous 3 were the 3 immediately before. So learning the wet quick.
Yeah.
It's a foot too short for the wet, really.
Well, maybe you'll have to get Mick and Ray sorting that out over the next winter period.
Yeah, I think we'll build a 4-door Stratos, and that'll be ideal weapon for the wet.
Well, having seen you racing over several decades, John, I'm sure that you're the man for the job, and we'll see how you get on in the final.
Well, I'd never give up. I mean, the first 3 races this year, I've started the final on the back row and finished second all 3 times, but it's getting a bit frustrating. Keep finishing second to the same bloke. As much as I like Lee, he needs to be behind me, not in front. So perhaps you'll put it right today.
Well, maybe we'll try and find him and have a word.
Yeah, he probably thinks different.
Right, well, thanks for spending the time with us, John, and wish you all the very best for this afternoon's final.
Thank you. I hope to speak to you after the final.
Hope so. See you later.
Cheers.
So John Cross there, who will be one of the front runners, of course, in the Classic final a little bit later on, but before that we have a few finals to come. The first of those is the Production A final, and just to recap on that one, the grid for that one, and if you're not familiar with Rallycross, everyone does 3 heats, and the best 2 heats you have basically determine your position on the grid. So if you were fastest in a heat, you get 1 point, second fastest 2 points, so on. So the person with the lowest points count from 2 heats takes pole position, and so forth. In pole position, it will be number 218, in fact, Alex Fletcher in the Honda Civic Type R. Alongside Alex will be 626, Martin Peters in the Citroen Saxo VTS. And then completing the front row, number 26 is Stuart Woolen in the Peugeot 106 GTI. On the second row, we have 100, Mark Henry in his Citroen C2 VTS, and also 284, James Ash, again in a Citroen C2 VTS. And then on the third row, just the one car, and that's 777, Kęstutis Butkus in the Suzuki Swift. So those are the cars that we should see very, very shortly now. In fact, according to my screen, we should just about be ready to get these finals underway. We wait for the cars to come out, and as I say, we'll be kicking off with that production final over 5 laps, and hopefully that's going to come very, very quickly now. You can see movement in the paddock, but not yet seeing cars out on the grid, so we'll get them shortly. They start up near the paddock area, and they come through a left-hander known as Ollie's. So from there it's into a right-hander around Senna, this Pembrey circuit. Ayrton Senna had spent quite some time here, in fact, testing back in the day, and was very fond of this circuit. And I know all the marshals and so on were very fond of Senna as well. So they go through Senna's, then they go into Toyo's, which is a sort of bus stop chicane. From there it's Brooklands hairpin, down the Speedway straight, and then they turn off onto the loose section, and that's a right-hand turn onto the loose section, then through that's Carter's, that corner, then through the left-hander of Hansen's, and then they come back onto the tarmac at Senna's once again. So that's a lap of the circuit here at Pembrey. As I say, running in clockwise direction today, running anti-clockwise tomorrow for the finals, for all the heats and the finals, of course, tomorrow. So a different challenge for the drivers tomorrow, but we still look in hope to see cars heading out to form up the grid for the production final, which will be our first of 7 finals, in fact. And we've just got confirmation of one slight change to the schedule, which I didn't allude to a little bit earlier. The final race of the day now is going to be the Clubman 4x4 and modified 4x4A final. So after the production A final, we'll have the juniors, then we'll have the super modifieds, the BMW Minis, the classic A final, the FIA cross cars, and then the 4x4s. So that is the schedule ahead of us, and still looking towards the dummy grid, still more in the hope than anything. We should have cars out there very, very soon indeed. In fact, well, I was going to say I could see a car, but in fact that is the Lancia Stratos R, so that's not going to be running in the production category. So he's just moving around the paddock for some reason. But not seeing those production cars just at the moment, but we should be able to bring you some live action very, very soon. Just having a look around the circuit at the moment. I just saw the scrutiny room bay where all the cars are checked for safety, etc. Now seeing the various corners on the circuit, and that I think is coming into from Carter's there and on into Hansen's, I believe, what we're looking at there. And that shows us where the dummy grid will be forming up, and then they'll move forward a few yards to the grid for the start of the race itself. They only come around ollies on the opening lap, in fact, and they run in this direction. That left hand, that first left-hander, but it can be quite lively there with all the cars trying to get through their first place, and not unusual to get a few off-course excursions there on that very first corner. See, I think the rain is just starting to fall a little bit again here. Hopefully, though, it's not going to come too much. It's a sort of, well, it's a very grey sky, but it's a uniformly grey sky, so. See the race control building there for race meetings. That's a 3-story building. The ground floor is where the race officials are located. The first floor is where the timekeepers are, and then the top floor is the commentary facility for racing. But we have a different facility for commentating on the rallycross down here at the other end of the circuit. But it's a very good view, one of the best views in Britain for commentators, in fact, up there on that top floor. marshals there waiting patiently for the action to restart. And that's the marshals who are responsible for the start line area, in fact. They'll make sure the cars are lined up correctly, and then also be watching for jump starts. If there is a jump start, then the normal penalty is that the competitor who made the jump start will be moved to the back of the grid, regardless of where they were on the grid initially. If you jump the start, you may well find yourself at the back of the grid for the race itself. You see the lights there hanging out over the circuit. That's the lights that the drivers will be watching to know when to start. As the green lights come on, away they will go. Well, as the marshals start to prepare, they've just been given their grid sheets, in fact, there to know how to line the cars up, and we're hearing that from race control that they hope to start the finals in the next couple of minutes. So we still wait. So it looks like the cars are making their way from the paddock area to the dummy grid, where they'll be initially formed up, and then they'll move forward onto the grid proper to get the final underway. The cars that I could see moving at the moment in the paddock are actually classic cars rather than the production cars. And the pedestrian crossing between the paddock and the outside of the circuit is still open at the moment, but that doesn't prevent the cars coming up onto the dummy grid once they are ready. Could well be one of our production cars that we can see at the moment in front of race control there. Hopefully so, anyway. So a little bit more movement in the paddock at the moment, and that could well be the production cars that are about to come out, hopefully at least. Apologies for the slight delay. We certainly should have started about a quarter of an hour ago. The marshals are coming out now onto the dummy grid, ready to line the cars up. So the first car appearing then on the dummy grid in readiness for the A final. And quick recap, the cars that we should be seeing out there on pole position: 218 Alex Fletcher in the Honda Civic Type R, 626 Martin Peters in the Citroen Saxo VTS, and 26 Stuart Woolen in the Peugeot 106 GTI. That's the front row. The second row, 100, is Mark Henry in the Citroen C2 VTS, and 284 James Ash also in the Citroen GTS, C2 VTS rather. And then on the third row, 777 Kęstutis Butkus in the Suzuki Swift. So those are the cars that we are looking to see forming up on this grid, ready to get our first 5-lap final of the afternoon underway. And this, as I say, for the MOT Group production class. So certainly I can see 4 cars out there so far. We should hopefully see 6 cars rather out there before we get this heat underway. That's the 106 GTI, I think, the last car just to pull up there on the front row. That's Stuart Woolen, 26. So at the moment we've got, I think, 5 cars in position. I think we might still be waiting for car 218 Alex Fletcher in his Civic Type R, who should be in pole position, but I don't think he's come out onto the grid yet. Hopefully he's running just a little bit late and he will join us very quickly now. And the 218, I think, is just coming up onto the grid now. That will be the 6th car onto the grid. And now they start to move down to the grid proper. Marshall's just going out to mark the positions that they need to line up in. As I say, the one thing they want to avoid is a jump start, because that could see them moved to the back of the grid for the restart. But we have 6 cars out there now then. Could get very tight into the first corner. In fact, it looks like we've got possibly 7 cars out there. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to work it out. No, in fact, what's catching me out there is the dummy grid is forming up already for the junior final, which will follow this final, so it is 6 cars in this final, then already the juniors are in position, so we should be able to go through these finals at fairly regular intervals from here on, now that we're getting started. So still Marshall on grid, waiting until he's satisfied that everyone's lined up properly. He will then point towards the lights, leave the grid, and they will be under starters' orders. And there he goes. So we are ready to get this one underway. Ready to race, it says. And away they go. Into that first corner. Ollies, it's very tight through there. But they are to the right hand centre, hanging the tail out a little bit there. 26, Stuart Woolen in second place. But leading at this stage, it looks like it could well be Alex. No, it's not Alex Fletcher. In fact, Alex Fletcher is in third place as they head down through Brooklands and then on up Speedway Straight. And off at Carter's, back onto the loose. They keep going around to the right, then they go swing left at Hanson. And it is indeed Fletcher who's in third place at the moment in the Honda. As they come around Hanson, and then they will go back to tarmac, complete their opening lap, and it is the 626 machine by the looks of it that leads the way, and that is Martin Peters in the Citroen Saxo VTS. Second place then for Stuart Woolen in the Peugeot 106 GTI. In third place it is 218 Alex Fletcher in the Honda Civic. Then we get the Alfa Romeo 147. Fourth place car 100 Mark Henry. And then it is 284 James Ash. Rounding things off is Kostas Butkus number 777. The first full lap, of course. 6:26 still leading the way. Still it is Martin Peters who heads away by about a second from Stuart Woolen, and then it is the car of Alex Fletcher in third spot. But the leader there, Peters, Martin Peters, is very sideways on that section. That's cost him round as they come down through Hanson, and Woolen's really closed up on the leader after that moment for him. The top 4 cars all in very close formation. Still just to the lead despite that moment. It is the Citroen Saxo Martin Peters, 6:26. Still in second place Stuart Woolen, number 26. Up to third place. Have we got a change? No, in fact we haven't got a change. It's just waiting for the third place car to show up, and it is in fact the Alfa Romeo by the looks of it that's moved up to third place ahead of Fletcher. 218 Alex Fletcher in the Honda Civic. So yeah, the Alfa Romeo is in third place, and that car number 100, but very little to separate the top 4 at this stage as they come across that loose section once again. Lap board as they go over the line this time, and still hanging on to that lead. Martin Peters then looking, I wouldn't say comfortable yet. He's still got some work to do to clinch this one, but at the moment it is Peters from Stuart Woolen, from Mark Henry in third place. And a spin there, or very sideways moment, and then he gets it about 90 degrees and then straightens it all out, moves one of the tyre piles, and that was a moment there for the Honda Civic Type R in fourth place, the car of Alex Fletcher. But still stays in 626 Martin Peters. Second place goes to number 26 Stuart Woolen. In third place, number 100 Mark Henry. Fourth place, therefore, it is 218 Alex Fletcher after that moment on the last lap in the Honda Civic Type R. In fifth place, it is James Ash in the Citroen C2. And then in sixth place, 777 Kestutis Butkus in the Suzuki Swift, who is in fact heading towards the checkered flag now. But a good win there for Martin Peters, and he had to really work for that one as our final car comes over the line to complete the production final. And next up, already on the grid, are the junior competitors. And the grid for this one should see in pole position car number 10, Tyler McAlpin, alongside Tyler number 5, Will Ovenden, and then 326 is Corey Paget. On the second row we have 44, Benjamin Bartlett, 754, Jamie Jeekins. In the Nissan Micra, all the other cars Suzuki Swifts, just the one Micra, that of Jimmy Jeekins in 754. And then 119, Teddy McPherson in his Suzuki Swift completes the grid then for this AVM Motors Junior Rallycross final, our second final of the afternoon. So just waiting for that final car to clear the track. The car of Kestutis Butkus is still out there at the moment, but as soon as he's clear we should be able to get this junior final underway. Slight change of schedule after the junior final. It should originally have been the 4x4s that would be out after them, but now we're going to see the 4x4s right at the end of the program. So it will be the Bourne Street Autos BMWs, I believe, that will be out after the juniors. In fact, no, it'll be the Super Modifieds. Just checking my program, my revised program. Super Modifieds out after the juniors, then the BMW Minis. So confirmation of the result of that first final. 626 Martin Peters wins in the Citroen Saxo BTS. And in second place, Stuart Woolen in the Peugeot 106 GTI. But I think we're about to get the juniors underway. Mark Henry 103rd, 4th 284 Jamie Ash, 5th 218 Alex Fletcher, having received a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, and then in 6th place 777 Kestutis Butkus, and that completes that final. The juniors are on their way. Cleanly around Ollie's for the first time into centre. A little bit of contact between I think the second and third cars there, but it looks like it is Tyler McAlpin off pole position who leads the way from number 5 Will Ovenden in second place. Just the lone micro is car 754 Jimmy Jeekins.
I'm not sure, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if we heard it was.
So the lead duo then already down Speedway Straight and off on at Carter's on, heading back towards the loose section. No big gaps anywhere at the moment. Our leaders across from Hanson's, and still it is Taylor McAlpin who heads the way then. So there you go, over the line. Car 44 and running in third or fourth place Benjamin Bartlett. They're in quite a battle there, including with the Micra. Still leading at this stage, it is, I think, Tony McAlpin. Some good battling. There's good two three-way battles, in fact, that the 6-car grid is split into. But first over the line, then the number 10 car is Taylor McAlpin ahead of Will Ovenden. Corey Paget in a third spot there. And get a bit of a moment there for the 754 car. Jamie Jenkins running quite strongly in fourth place ahead of Benjamin Bartlett and Teddy McPherson. Together still it is Tyler McAlpin from Will Ovenden. And they are now in on lap 4, I believe. I think they'll see the last lap board when they come through next time. Lead duo, looking back a bit in the third place car now, the car of Benjamin Bartlett. I think that is actually Jamie Jenkins, 754. But the last lap board has gone out now, so they've just begun their last lap. So on his final lap it is Tyler McAlpin, then Will Ovenden, and then it is the 326 car of Corey Paget. Jamie Jenkins still just about hanging on to fourth place, but our leading pair then coming down Speedway Straight for the final time, and still it is Tyler McAlpin just hanging on, but coming under increasing pressure from Will Ovenden as they come on to the infield section and then on to the loose, and there you go. And not much to separate first and second there, and a bit of contact possibly there as they come towards the line, but it will be Tyler McAlpin takes the win from Will Ovenden. In third place it is the 326 machine of Corey Paget, and in fourth place Jamie Jenkins in the Nissan Micra. Fifth place for car 44, that's the Suzuki of Benjamin Bartlett, and in sixth place it's Teddy McPherson in the Suzuki Swift. So a junior final victory then for Tyler McAlpin, just ahead of Will Ovenden. So next up it will be the super modified cars, SG Haulage and Roadtech Limited super modified. The grid for this one should see on pole position number 39, and that's Fred Ling. Alongside 39 it is 48 Ted Crooks in the Mini Cooper S, and then it is 219 Gary Cook in the Fiesta completing the front row. On the second row we have 84, and that's Chris Smith in the Honda Civic Type R, and 201, which is James Avison, also in the Civic Type R. And then on the back row, just the one car, number 62, and that's Phil Chicken in the Citroen C2. Well, we're ready to get the super modified final underway then. 5 laps once again. And they're under starters orders. And so green lights on, and away they go down to Ollie's. Everyone is cleanly through the left. Is the 39 car, I think, of Fredling then that leads the way at the moment, and is in fact already breaking away from what is a 5-car pack as they go down Speedway Straight and through Carter's. Tight battle for second place, 5th spot, which includes Todd Crooks, I think, who slipped back to 5th place in the US. 219, that's Gary Cook as well. They fight it out for second place. Chris Smith getting a bit out of shape and out onto the grass, and that's going to allow Cook to get up alongside, but he'll be on the outside as they go around the right-hander, and so positions remain unchanged. This is very, very sideways, and way out on the loose goes the car, 84 car of Chris Smith, and that's cost him at least one position. Comfortable advantage, and very tight there through Chris Smith battling it out there with I think that's Phil Chicken in 3rd place, and Todd Crooks there in the Mini as well, and also the other Civic Type R, which is the car of James Avison. So some good battling going on down the order as Fredling is looking to make this final his own. Almost contact there as the Civic is very out of shape there, fighting it out. Just about hangs on to it. Crooks, and Crooks spins in the Mini. Todd Crooks spinning there in the Mini. To the back of the field. But it is still heading away. But there it's as it looks like Todd Crooks is retiring his Mini, unfortunately. As we pick up the leader coming through Hanson's. Last about to see the last lap, which he does. He goes through a pretty comfortable lead ahead of 219. The second place is going to go, and the battle is behind there. It's the battle for 3rd place, which is the Citroen C2 of Phil Chicken, just ahead of the sometimes very sideways Honda Civic Type R of Chris Smith, and a similar car of James Avison. So that's the three who are fighting it out, and the leader then on his last lap, and looking towards the checkered flag. A final win then in the SG Haulage and Road Technology Super Modified class for Fredling, number 39. Second place goes to 219 Cup. And that three-way battle sees 3rd place just about going to Phil Chicken in the Citroen C2, ahead of Chris Smith in the Honda Civic Type R, and then it is James Avison also in the Civic Type R, and unfortunately, of course, a non-finish by the looks of it for Todd Crooks in the Mini. Well, the result for the previous final, the junior final, it was a win for number 10, Tyler McAlpin. Second, number 5, Will Ovenden. Third, 326, Corey Paget. Then 754, Jimmy Jeekins. 44, Benjamin Bartlett. And 119, Teddy McPherson. So now we have the BMW Mini A final. And away they go. Sayer, who's taken an early lead. We've got one Mini that has spun on the first corner, and I think is heading into retirement, unfortunately. We will pick up those in a minute. As down Speedway Straight comes the leader on to Carter's. Looks like it's car 20 Gus Glass, who is out at the very first corner. So 5 BMW Minis running in close formation as they come back onto the tarmac. This leading by 77 Ben Sayer. In second place it is number 4 Dave Ellis. Third place is 614, and that's Abby McGuinness. In fourth place it's 69 Harvey Harman. Then it is 144 Leanne Cedric. So that's the 5 cars running as our leader then heads down into Carter's once again. Not that far ahead of the second place number 4 car of Dave Ellis. Good battle going on as well for fourth place between the 69 and 144 machines. Sayer ahead still of Dave Ellis number 4 and 614, which is Abby McGuinness. And we have that fight for 4th spot between Harvey Harman and Leanne Cedric. An understeer there for Harvey Harman, but he gets around the corner. That was completed then for our leaders, and for just will be all the field in a moment. So the gap just opening up a little bit now between Harman and Cedric. As continuing in the lead is Ben Sayer, car number 77, with he had 1.5 second advantage when they crossed the line last time, and didn't look to have lost any of that as they come around Hanson's loose section. So that board is displayed on the last lap. Leading the way down through Toyo for the final time, and then on to Brooklands. To Brooklands down the Speedway Straight. As they come into Hanson's, it looks like it should be a win for Ben Sayer. It's now closed up a little bit. It's both challenges. Checkered flag goes to Ben Sayer to take the race away in second place. Goes to number 4 Dave Ellis. In third place it is Abby McGuinness, 614. Fourth place for 69 Harvey Harman, and in 5th place 144 Leanne Cedric. So next up we have the Classic A final. So the grid for the Malleus Limited pre-1995 Classic class sees on pole position 99 John Cross in the Lancia Stratos R, alongside him Jamie McBain in the Peugeot 205 GTI number 183. 333 Lee Wood in the Ford Escort Mark II completes the front row. Then on the second row we have number 22 Don Swayland in his Mark 1 Escort, and 91 Alan Tapscott in the Mark 2 Escort. On the third row we have number 17 David Ewan in the Ford Fiesta Mark 3 Evo, 170 Darrell Ambrose in the Peugeot 106 XSI, number 13 is Ryan Stutchby in the Peugeot 205 GTI, and then on the back row 422 Helen Crooks in the Classic Mini. As the green lights come on and they get underway, sluggish start there for the Stratos, and it is one of the Escorts that makes the early ground. Has taken the early lead ahead of number 19. No, it's not number 19. It's one of the Peugeots anyway that's in second place. The Stratos is in third place. Fourth place is Alan Tapscott in his Mark II Ford Escort. So it is, I think, 183 in second place, which would be the Peugeot 205 GTI of Ed McBain as they come around. The way, the green, or the multicoloured Escort rather, of Lee Wood. Not Ed McBain, sorry, but Jamie McBain in the Peugeot 205 GTI, the green car, in second place. Third place for the Lancia Stratos R of John Cross. In fourth place then is the red Mark II Escort 91, the car of Alan Tapscott, and a tight battle behind them, headed up by the Peugeot 106 XSI, the car 17 downland challenge, and that placed by Ryan Stutchby in his Peugeot 205, and the Mark 1 Escort of Dan Swayland caught up in that fight as well. And we have a car off there, that's the 170 car, Darrell Ambrose in the 106 XSI at Toyos. He's taken an off-road excursion, dropped him back to last position but one, as the Escort Mark II continues to lead the way, but the fight still going on. Just ahead of Dan Swayland Escort as they make their way around on the loose section. Escort, who is looking fairly comfortable at the head of the field, his advantage about 1.5 seconds over second place Jamie McBain in the Peugeot 205 GTI, then the Lancia Stratos R of John Cross in third spot. Last lap is displayed to the lead as he goes over the line. The Escort then continuing to lead the way now. Final lap of the Limited 95 Classic class. So 333 then, the car that continues to show the way home to this Classic field. Just catching up in fact with the Mini of Helen Crooks, about to lap. Just as this is the last lap, will he choose to sit behind? No, he won't. He goes past. To sit behind his takes the checkered flag. It is a win then for the car of Leeward 333. Second place goes to Jim McBain 183 in Peugeot 205 GTI. Third place to John Cross in the Lancia Stratos R. In fourth place is Alan Tapscott with 91 in his red Ford Escort. Then it is Ryan Stutchby who takes fifth place on that final lap in the Peugeot 205 ahead of the Mark 1 Escort of Dan Swayland. Then it is 170 Darrell Ambrose And then it is Helen Crooks in the Classic Mini. That's the top, that's the 8 finishers in a very good Classic final. Next up, we switch to single-seater machines, because it is the SGS Gases FIA cross car, the cross car purpose-built for motorsport, powered by a 600cc motorbike engine, and very, very nimble and very quick around this rallycross circuit. And the grid for this one, it should be on pole position 111 Will Butler, alongside 501 David Atwell and 23 Luke Holly. On the second row, 21 Paul Batson and 424 Ethan Rouse. And so those are the 5 cars out then for this penultimate final of the day, the FIA Cross Car A final. And they are under starters order, ready to race. And it's a jump start. We've got flashing red lights, so we've got a jump start by the looks of it, by one car. So we'll see if anyone is penalised for that. And I think, are they going to move anyone at the back of the grids? Yeah, it is car 23, I think, Luke Holly, who's been moved to the back of the grid. So he is the driver who picks up the penalty for the jump start, and will now start, as I say, at the back of the grid. Red lights flash to signify that it was a false start, and they will just realign all the cars as we get confirmation that Classic final. It was a win for 333 Lee Wood, 183 Jamie McBain second, and John Cross 99 third. But we were ready for the restart, just about ready I think for this restart. Once again they're on the starters order, ready to race. Symbol appears and green lights, and it's a clean start this time. And it looks to me like that might be David Atwell who's made the best start into Ollie's. And it is 501 David Atwell who leads the way then on this opening lap. It could be Paul Batson 21 who's in second place possibly. The lead trio, in fact all 5 cars pretty close together then on this opening lap, as they head down and off Speedway Straight onto Carter's second place man. Just shake that there, as in a 4th place man, and that I think is Luke Holly, car number 23. 21 is in 3rd place. It's 111 by looks at Will Butler, who is in 2nd place ahead of David Atwell, as they come through to complete their opening lap. Atwell then 501 from 111 Will Butler, then it is 21 Paul Batson, then it's 23 Luke Holly, and 424 is Ethan Rouse. But Atwell then leading the way down into Carter's for the second time. But, because 21 in 3rd place Paul Batson, and just ahead of the 4th place machine then close together. So at this stage as they complete their first full lap, and one car running a bit wide there, I think that was the 23 car of Luke Holly that got a bit wide, but I think he managed to hang on to his 3rd spot, but he's coming under a lot of pressure now from the 21 car there. Those two fighting it out, but our leader remains 501 David Atwell. Third place still for 111 Will Butler, and then that fight for 3rd spot is the leaders Ryan Hansen's. Butler in his efforts to close the gap on David Atwell. Can't quite make it at the moment, still has to contend himself with 2nd spot. The fight goes on for 3rd place still as well between Batson and Holly. Batson, Luke Holly fighting it out, and we get a challenge for the lead. But we're still able to hang on to it, and that has allowed the third and fourth place cars to close up on the lead dealers. They come through Hanson's this time. Back on to the last lap is displayed, so this is going to be quite a four-way fight to the flag. Still it is David Atwell who leads the way from Will Butler. Still in third place it is the 21 machine Paul Batson ahead of 23 Luke Holly as they come down to Carter's for the final time and turn in, and first and second really close there as they come round now to Hanson's, and third also continuing. Drop back just a couple of lengths from second is 111 Will Butler. In third place it's number 21 Paul Batson, then it's 23 Luke Holly, and then 424 Ethan Rose, and that brings us to our final of the day, and this will be for the 4x4 machinery, and we've had some good battles already in this category. We have both the modified and Clubmans 4x4s ready to go out there. For this one, we'll see the Clubmans on the front row, and so that's in pole position 95 Roger Thomas, who I think is there after problems in his final heat. Alongside, he's in the Ford Fiesta T16. Alongside him, 45 Andy Grant in the Ford Focus T16, and then it's 8 Michael Boak in the Skoda Fabia. And then behind we have the MHEG Racing modified 4x4 class, 2 cars in that. 888 is Thomas Romanauskas in the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4, and 193 Chris Baker in the Subaru Impreza WRX. So we wait for the last of the FIA machines to clear, FIA cross cars to clear the circuit, and then we can get this one under starters orders. The marshal waits for the all clear. So we prepare for our final of the day, but don't forget there is a full field of racing once again now. So full day's racing once again tomorrow. Hope to see as many people here as possible for that. But now we're getting into our last race of the day, and that is the 4x4s. So we're under starters orders then for the final race of the day. We're ready to race. Green lights, it's a clean start, and away they go into the first corner, and it is, I think, Andy Grant leads the way from Michael Buck, and then back in third place at the moment is Roger Thomas, and then in the fight for modified honours, Thomas Romanauskas in the Lancer leads Chris Baker in the Impreza on the opening lap. But it is the focus then of Andy Grant, who is leading the way, and local man Roger Thomas will want to do something about that. He's challenging Michael Boak in the second place Skoda Fabia, but still has to stay in third spot at the moment as they come around to Roger Thomas going to get it turned in? The question, yes he does. He's up to second place and he wants to close the gap at the head of the field. Michael Boak back now into third place. The battle is going on further back amongst the modified machines. Still it's Roman Auschkus who leads the way from Chris Baker, but closing down the gap, Roger Thomas closing down the gap on Andy Grant as they come down Speedway Straight once again, and turn at Carter's back onto the infield section. Still is the focus ahead of the Fiesta. Roger Thomas doing everything in his power to change that as they come around Hanson, so they're on the loose section. Andy Grant in his efforts to stay in the lead. He still manages to do that at the moment as they go into Toyos once again. You see the two modified cars, the Mitsubishi Evo 4 and the Subaru Impreza, fighting out for modified class honours. They're running, of course, in a different class to the three cars ahead of them, and having a good fight. So the Subaru is starting to drop back a bit. Yeah, it does. See the leaders going through Toyota around Brooklands, and Roger Thomas working hard to try and close down that gap. Not quite able to do it at the moment. It's still Andy Grant in the focus that heads the Fiesta as they go off at Carter's, and the gap has closed up now. Turned a minute to the left hand of Hanson, and Roger Thomas right on the back bumper now of the focus as they go through that section. They will see the last lap board when they cross the line this time. That's all Roger Thomas can do to get ahead of Andy Grant. They head down towards Toyos. Still the focus in the Fiesta. Right, that bus stop they go into the right hand at Brooklands, and down they go then along the Speedway Straight. And who is going to win this final race of the day? At the moment it looks like it'll be Thomas doing anything to change that as they come around to Hanson's and onto the loose section. They're almost side by side but not quite, as they come back onto the tarmac and over the line they go, and it is a final win then for number 45 Andy Grant in the Focus T16. Second place goes to Roger Thomas in the Fiesta T16. It looks like third place is going to go to Michael Boat, number 8, does take that position. And then in fourth place and taking the modified class honours in the MACG Racing Modified 4x4 class, it is number 888 Thomas Romanowskis, and then it's 193 Chris Baker that takes the final position, second in his class, but it is Andy Grant who has taken this final and looking very exuberant and pleased about it, claiming a lap of honour for himself by the looks of it. And he's around the bottom end of the circuit here, and it is a win, as I say, for him, number 45 Andy Grant, long time rallycrosser, and he makes his way down now along with the rest of the cars to the paddock, where I've no doubt the teams will be very, very busy getting ready for tomorrow's third round of the BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross Championship, once again here at Pembrey. And we hope as many of you as possible will join us to watch at least some of the action that will be coming up again tomorrow, Sunday, for the racing. So plenty of exciting racing ahead of us again tomorrow. And as the marshals begin to clear up for the end of the day, and as I say, we'll be doing it all again in less than 24 hours from now. Start with the heats tomorrow morning. The finals once again around the same time tomorrow afternoon. And lots of close racing to be anticipated. But for the moment, like I say, I hope as many of you as possible will join us once again tomorrow. But for the moment, from myself, Peter Hughes, and all the team here at Pembrey, thanks very much for joining us, and we look forward to catching up with you again tomorrow. But for that, bye for now.